Well, isn't it nice of you to show up? Hey, everybody, you are now behind enemy lines. What's going on, everybody? Gene Berardelli, Ross Galloway here with you. Bro, you barely made it in.
Bro, my Verizon. I couldn't hear me now.
I just heard you now. You're okay. A little bit of a delay. No big deal. Let me see. I'm messing with layouts here with the show. Do we look better like this, or do we look better like this? I'm going with this. I think that's the way to go. Oh, how was your week, man? What's going on?
I feel like I'm at the eye doctor. Better like this or better like this?
So
this is pretty good.
Is it this or this or this?
I got to see because on the
or this.
I honestly think that the big one is better. It's easier to stay centered.
I don't like looking at myself, and I don't think people like looking at me either. So that's what we're gonna keep it as. We're gonna keep it as little as possible. But anyways, so
all right.
Listen, hell of a week in politics. Plus, the other reason is I get to see the background. I like the barbed wire. Makes the show looks like it's actually got some production value to it. Whatever. Call it my little idiosyncrasies. I see people arriving on different platforms, whether it be on YouTube, Rumble, X. I'm glad that you're all here with us. Pretty busy week dominated by what's been going on in Minnesota. The whole aesthetic of grumpy old men is now destroyed for me. Because I honestly thought that Minnesota was ice fishing and winter carnivals and Jack Lemmon. People like that just sitting in their ice shanties and fishing. Burgess Meredith making sex jokes about everybody. But apparently, there's a lot of angry people in Minnesota. You okay over there? I think we have a little delay, but that's okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Bueller. He's definitely on delay.
I think my
Can you hear me?
I'm gonna log out and log back in.
Okay. Sounds good to me. In fact, let me assist you at the door. Vamp, log out, log in. Okay, I will. We're gonna kick you from the studio. There you go. No, we're not gonna kick you. I'm just kidding around. We'll just remove you, and you can handle it that way. So, as Ross is coming back in a little while, I guess I'll say thank you guys for coming on the show. I really appreciate having you here. Hopefully, you're going to like what you see. You're going to hit that thumbs up button. You're going to subscribe wherever you are, follow wherever you are. We'll be talking about a bunch of different topics here. And it might get a little repetitive because I usually have Ross to bounce things off of. But let's get into things right now. So, the past week has been dominated, I should say, by what's been going on in Minnesota. Escalation of tensions between some of the members of the progressive community, I dare say, and ICE. Maybe some independents as well. I think that's reasonable to say. And I've been trying to find authority. I'm an attorney, for those of you who don't know. Maybe you're just visiting us for the first time, because I see we have a lot of people showing up thanks to the new way that YouTube does things. I hope you guys are here for a good time, if not a long time. And I started looking for some authoritative reasoning, legal basis for sort of evaluating what we've all been seeing. And I came across this clip. We'll start with this. This is from the police chief in Chicago from back in December, talking about the relationship between federal law enforcement, local law enforcement, and the public in general. And I think that this clip, more than ever, really is relevant for all of us being armchair legal analysts and use of force analysis people and all that's been going on. Let's listen to someone who works in this field every day, this police chief in Chicago.
It's clear. Federal agents, ICE, HSI, are officers. They are agents of law enforcement. If you box them in with vehicles, it is reasonable for them to believe that they are being ambushed.
We're going to bring Ross back in because we just started the clip. Ross, you with us? I'm guessing not. If you're not hearing us, I'm just going to take you off until just let me know when you start hearing me. I'll keeping you in the studio. But oh no, he's just going on his own. So what the chief was saying there was, if you start boxing in any type of law enforcement, including federal law enforcement like ICE, you're basically asking for trouble because that's going to be interpreted based upon their law enforcement training as being an ambush of them. They're going to fear for their lives, just like people do. By the way, if you're watching us wherever you are and you see the chat going, I'm lonely. I'd love to talk to you guys. We can bounce ideas off of each other. This is not meant to be one-way traffic here. It's not a one-way conversation. You guys can certainly hang out in the chat, even if you disagree with me. In fact, if you do disagree with me, I want you to pipe up even more. I want to have discussions with people who disagree with me. That's what makes discussion so rich. So, for example, Guy, I'm sorry. Hello, link me. Okay, I'm going to get you in a second, Rick. But I meant to click Guy W4P2D says unaliving in Minneapolis. And that's certainly a point of view to discuss. Give me a moment here while I bring in Rick Robinson as well. But for now, I'm going to let the chief continue.
And that this could end in a deadly situation. And it's reasonable for them to use force based on those conditions. Do not box in any law enforcement officer. You are breaking the law when you do that. And you are putting yourself in danger. Following law enforcement agents around. The question is why? What do you plan on doing? It's also reasonable for them to believe that you're eventually going to do harm to them.
So again, we're looking at all of these scenarios through the eyes of law enforcement. And clearly, if you're following around ICE agents, those agents can certainly question what your intent is in doing so. If you are there following them around, not obstructing their path, their direction, I think they won't care. Or maybe they'll ask, what are you doing? But as long as you're not preventing a visual threat to them. If you're there, you get out of your car, you stand across the street, you have your camera phone out and you're filming, I don't think they would care so much. But if you are, for example, using your vehicle to block a street so that it's impeding them from getting to where they have to get to as part of their operation, like this police chief is saying from Chicago, you're most likely putting them in fear of their life. And that is also making you look like a threat. Now, we're going to get to later a discussion about what is considered reasonable force under the law as well. It's something we can certainly get into. But now, again, I think it's helpful to hear this perspective from this police chief. And I want us all to think about it in the context of whether or not this was, as Guy was saying earlier in the chat, whether or not this was an unaliving homicide in Minnesota.
If you ram any vehicle, especially that one that contains law enforcement agents, and that's any law enforcement, local, state, federal, county, and you do this intentionally, this is considered deadly force. Deadly force is anything that can cause great bodily harm or death. When you plow into a vehicle that contains law enforcement agents, you're using deadly force.
Okay, we're going to try to bring Ross back in, and whenever Rick gets here as well. You good over there, pal?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and it wasn't too much of a delay, so we're okay. While you were away, I was playing a video from December of last year, a month ago, of the police chief in Chicago discussing why it is so dangerous when people not interact with law enforcement on any level, whether it be ICE or Homeland Security or city law enforcement, local law enforcement, and how the actions can be perceived as threats. And for instance, what the officer was saying earlier is that if you box in someone, if you block someone, if you impede someone, officers are trained to be prepared for an ambush. Now, I know you have a bit of a law enforcement background when you were in the military, pal. Talk a little bit about what the training would be for when you are being boxed in or blocked or having a car driven towards you. And let's talk about that for a moment. I guess we still have a delay. Well, that's not good. Ross, I'm going to kick you out again because you're not helping. Oh, boy. Okay. Let me get into the private chat with him and say, still a delay. And I'm going to continue on with this video out of Chicago from last month. And I just want to back up a little bit because I think there was some pretty important things being said here. Actually, I think Ross might be coming back in. Oh, boy. Thankfully, the technical difficulties are not on my end. I'll never hear the end of this, I'm sure, from him. But look, it is what it is. I'm waiting for him to load up. Okay, let me bring him in. All right, we're going to try this one more time, and then I may have to take a trip to go slap you. Nope, still not working. All right, we'll try this again. Let's get back to the video.
Law enforcement agents around. The question is why? What do you plan on doing? It's also reasonable for them to believe that you're eventually going to do harm to them. If you ram any vehicle,
yeah, this is the important part here. Let's listen to this.
especially that one that contains law enforcement agents, and that's any law enforcement, local, state, federal, county, and you do this intentionally, this is considered deadly force. Deadly force is anything that can cause great bodily harm or death. When you plow into a vehicle that contains law enforcement agents, you're using deadly force. And they can use deadly force in response to stop you.
Everybody hear that? Everybody in the back of the room that are, throwing spitballs at everything? You guys heard that, right? If you use deadly force towards an officer, deadly force can be used against you. Guys, get into the chat with me. Like I said, I'm having a little trouble here with Ross and everything. I'm gonna try and... All right, bro, are you there? Because we got a lot of people that want to know what's going on with you. Oh, wait, it's still not coming in. What is going on here? All right, Rick's got the line here too. Ross, you're not even showing up on the screen right now. Hang on. All right. Back to the point here. Let me. I got so much going on. What in the world is going on? Okay, we're gonna leave him out for a minute. Get back into the regular chat here. I saw a comment from Robert Plummer. Robert, thanks for hanging out with us. Who cares about Renee Good? We should all care about Renee Good. Renee Good is a person who deserves dignity and respect. We deserve to have a serious, sobering conversation about what happened here. We have Madeline Thomas. Madeline, thanks for hanging out. Exactly, these stupid woke Democrats, people, and fake media should listen. I think we all need to listen a little bit. I don't think it's just the woke that need to listen. I think we need to listen as well, because in our analysis of what happens here. Passions can become inflamed. We're people, we have emotions, and we should understand where these emotional outbursts would be coming from. Do want to let the chief sort of finish up here, so let's get back to the video. And I'll be watching the comments as you guys are doing this, because you guys are awesome right now.
We need to be clear about these laws. We cannot become a society where we just decide to take everything in our own hands and start to commit crimes against law enforcement. It is a crime.
We're not a society of vigilantes. That doesn't mean that you can't exercise your rights. You can exercise your First Amendment right, have an opinion on what's going on. You can certainly exercise your right to assemble, but you can't put other people in danger. Your rights end at the tip of your nose. That's how our society works here. So when we're talking about confronting law enforcement in the process of their duties, we really need to recognize that going forward. Got 111 people watching across different platforms on Facebook, Rumble, and X. Hey guys, how you doing? I'm so glad you're here with us. I hope that you take the time to like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is that you're doing on the platform you're watching, and that you hit that thumbs up button, you hit any notification bells so you don't miss shows. I really appreciate you being here. There's a lot of people that are under the misconception that because ICE agents deal with immigration enforcement, that they cannot take any actions towards U.S. citizens. And my voice just cracked there for a while, and I don't know why. But I want to reiterate something to you guys that maybe you don't know. And again, I am a lawyer. Oh, we got someone coming in a moment here. Let me just there's a certain welcome I have to give to certain people, and Rick Robinson is one of those people. So let me just.
So I want to thank you all for being here. And now, who am I introducing next? Who's next?
Rick, can you hear me? Because that way I'll know if it's me or him. Well, you're muted, pal. Hang on, let me get you unmuted.
What's on my end?
Yeah, you keep muting your mic. Yeah, I took care of it for you. There you go.
There we go.
All right. And
Yeah,
Ross,
well, I keep.
are you back,
Yeah,
Ross?
you know. Maybe.
Anyway, no, he's not. Go ahead, pal. Rick, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say this is Ross right now.
Oh,
he's
stop it!
But
That
he's
ain't
trying.
cool, man.
No, dude, I don't think it's just Verizon because our stuff has been acting up all night too. Like I was fine on my solo show, and then I tried to do the panel show, and I had to like restart my router, reset my IP, all of it. So I think whatever's happening with the Verizon might actually be starting to bleed over into other things.
Okay.
But yeah, so I don't think it was just you. Plus, it took forever for the system to find my camera over here. I had to unplug my. That's why it took so long. Even after I finally found the link, I had to unplug my camera like 14 times to get it to turn on. So, okay, I think.
All right, I got you. Ross, I'm
weird thing
trying
is,
you one more time, pal.
I know Ross can hear us because he was laughing when I was playing crickets, but we can't seem to hear him. So, see, he's laughing.
Yeah. Oh,
again,
there.
so
He's laughing.
Verizon,
He speaks. Oh my God. So listen, I want to get your thoughts on this video I've been playing so far. I'll start with Rick. Ross, just jump in right after you hear Rick stop talking, and we'll let
Ross go first in case the gremlins get him again. Go ahead, Ross. I'll wait in case your gremlins get you again.
Yeah. So thank you for being patient, everyone. So this might surprise some of you. I'll tell you the truth, man. So like the ICE guys, they're not like they're not big on car stops, right? So if you're like a regular beat cop, you do lots of car stops, you practice with a lot more felony car stops. That incident was tragic, and most police departments do train their officers never to get in front of a vehicle, right? So the left, when they say things like that, there's some truth to it. But what I will say is this. The situation that officer found himself in, right, that wasn't a felony car stop, although, like, I don't know what that charge is, that federal charge for impeding. It might actually be a felony, but clearly the woman was, like, not a, it wouldn't have raised a red flag for the most part, like thinking she was armed or was going to shoot you. She was just stupid, right? She looked dumb. She acted dumb. She did dumb things. So, the officer went around the car. From what I understand, he was not issued a body cam yet. The federal government's still trying to get body cams on all these guys. So he pulled out his phone to record the scene while there was officers speaking to the woman through her window, right? Did he expect her to put it in drive and try to run him down? No. So at the end of the day, and I'm very curious to hear what Rick has to say, justified shooting. The car hit him. He suffered an injury. The first bullet went through the front of the windshield. There's fucking video, right? It's not even like a coin toss whether or not he got hit by the car. He clearly did. And it wasn't because they gave her mixed signals of like, get out of here or get out of the car. They clearly said, you're detained, get out of the car, right? So justified shooting, tragedy all around. And I hope that the ICE guys do get a lot more training on car stops going forward, if this is going to be the new environment.
Well, yeah, if that's a new environment, if that's a new environment where local PD is just going to sit out everything, then yes, ICE needs to start being trained in what the media loves to call routine traffic stops, even though there's no such animal. I will say this: after the footage came out with what I thought was his body camera footage at first, you can plainly hear him being struck by the vehicle. You can see in the wide shot they did where he's actually drugged by the vehicle for a bit. There's reports that came out today, released by, I believe it was the New York Times. Am I lagging or something?
No, you're good. It was something I got a notification on my end that made my computer lag. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering because you were lagging on my side all of a sudden. But anyway, so there was the story released by the New York Times today showing that, dude had internal injuries from being struck in the front of the vehicle. There were a total of 3 shots fired. One hit the driver's side window or windshield. The other hit a mirror, and one of them was at least the one that hit her in the face. But as far as the only thing that I will say, having been in a similar situation, oddly enough, not when I was in a uniform other than a security uniform, I had to actually put myself between a speeding vehicle and a parking lot full of patrons. I think the only thing that saved my life was the fact that I already had my weapon drawn. So and again, this all happened within the space of a few seconds. But once he saw her gripping the steering wheel and grinning like Cruella de Vil, I really wish he would have put his phone down and drawn his weapon. It might have changed the scenario a bit. That's my only armchair quarterbacking.
Well, here's a question from Evil Genius 190, and I guess this goes to Ross's point. So, Ross, we'll start with you. Is it really a car stop? She inserted herself into a situation she shouldn't have. It's not like a typical stop that local law enforcement officers do. So it wasn't. It's my understanding that it's considered a car stop because there's cars involved, and the crime that they are arresting her for, or at least in the process of arresting her for, is interference with ICE agents. That's 18 USC 111. So it's not a car stop in the sense that it is a vehicle and traffic infraction. It's a violation of a federal law that ICE can enforce.
Well, I think what Ross means by car stop is there are certain things that are drummed.
Yeah, 100%. So, like, percent right.
Ross, you can go ahead.
Okay, yeah, sorry. So ICE does not enforce vehicle and traffic law. So I don't mean in the typical sense what people might think of as like a car stop, right? This turned into a car stop once they approached the vehicle and told her she was not free to leave, right? So she was being detained, possibly upon further investigation of a crime that they believe was committed in their presence. Okay, so she was not free to leave, despite what people said, like, oh, she was just trying to leave. At that point, once they told her she was being detained, it did turn into a quasi car stop, right? And don't get what I'm saying twisted. I'm not blaming ICE at all, okay? Because sometimes you have to cross either in front of or behind a vehicle, right? When you do a car stop, especially an impromptu one like that, you might find yourself on the other side of the car in crossfire land with the officer on the driver's side, okay? So he had to make a decision to either back up or assist in dragging this woman out of her vehicle, and he chose to film and get some information because he didn't have a body cam, because because oddly enough, he would have been accused of doing stuff that was wrong had he not recorded it. Had there not been video, right? Had there not been video, what would the left have said transpired on that street, right? There would have been no proof of any of this. So I wish he would have put the phone down a little sooner too, but thank God he had it on, right? Get those guys body cams. This is the biggest self-own the left has ever done. Since George Floyd, putting body cameras on police officers, I know they hate it, or they definitely hated it in the past. This is the best thing that can happen. It shows the degenerates on the left that they have to deal with day in and day out.
I certainly agree with a lot of what you said. Rick, I got a great question here from Mommy Ma 9561. Am I getting dyslexic in my old age? I don't know. If you shoot the operator of a vehicle while it's in drive, how can you expect the car to come to a stop? The person is going to get hit and magically step on the brake after they lose consciousness.
Okay,
go ahead.
So obviously this person is commenting and likely never seen the footage because the vehicle was in a stopped position and not moving when they started the process to get her out of the car. The reason she got shot is because instead of obeying commands when they said, okay, this is enough, get out of the car, then she stepped on the gas. And that's the point where, and again, and this is a mild critique because I'm used to watching this in slow-mo at this point. I think the still frame from when they caught her smiling right before she gunned the motor to the time that he got hit was probably about 1/8 of a second. So yes, in a perfect world, he would have put the camera down and drawn his weapon, but he didn't have much time. But the simple fact of the matter is this: when a law enforcement officer, and they can, well, we didn't know he was a cop because he had a mask. He's in a vehicle with lights. They were all wearing things marked in with that said police or federal agent. That's not impossible for a single person to fake. It's really hard for groups to fake. So
right, and for anyone thinking that we're trying to minimize what happened here or that we're justifying what they call, murder or anything like that, we're not doing that. But I do think that a lot of people out there, like Mommy Ma here, have misconceptions. For instance, saying that Renee Good only stepped on the gas after she was shot. That's not true. If you look at the video, she initially put the car in reverse, then turned the wheels towards the driver while it was in gear and drive. And we know this because we see the back lights of the vehicle, and then proceeds to go forward. The front wheels skid from the acceleration, and then the shooting occurs. I do want to get Christian law officer here. Fully agreed. I said that the other day. The left protested and screamed for us to get body cams, and now they are seeing what their side does to get shot. The chat is hopping a lot here.
Are they really seeing it, though? That's my question, because it's, look.
Wait. Hold on a second, Rick. I need to put this up because David Ellis seems to think that we're all bad people from World War II, but at least we can spell you-are instead of your.
I'm just going to do
good
this.
For you, pal.
I don't care.
No, you're doing the Elon Musk.
I don't care. Call me whatever names you want. None of this changes the fact that she should have never been there. For those of you that are watching the little 30-second snippets, there's a 4-minute video of this woman cabbage patching in the middle of the road while she's honking on her horn for 4 minutes.
Now, Ross,
go
ahead, Ross. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Gene said we're not minimizing it. Fuck that. I am minimizing it, okay?
God damn it.
Let me tell you why. I am minimizing it, right? You hardcore leftist fucking losers accused this man of murder when it first happened, right? So yeah, I'm going to minimize it. You guys went over the fucking top and accused a man of murder, and then more video kept coming out, and at the very least, at most, right? What is it at most? I'm not saying it was a mistake. At most, you might be able to argue it was a violation of a department policy, right? Let me tell you the difference here, and the law enforcement guys in the chat will know this, right? Most departments have policies, right, where you're not supposed to shoot at a vehicle. People hear that, and they think that's the law. Minnesota state law, a law signed by Governor Walz, actually acknowledges that using a vehicle against a person is considered deadly force, right? So a law enforcement officer can stop deadly force with deadly force, and Minnesota state law defines a vehicle as that, right? So there was no violation of law. At worst, you have a violation of a policy. Possibly. I'm not even saying it's all that, but you guys called this guy a fucking murderer, right? You want to put this man in jail for the rest of his life like they did to Derek Chauvin. There was no grace, no benefit of the doubt. Renee Good put herself in that situation, and she ran over a federal law enforcement officer while he was doing his duty.
Who suffered internal
right? That's
injuries,
what really fucking happened.
Who
So, all right, Gene, you don't minimize. I will.
Well, listen, you guys both brought up the issue of excessive force, deadly force, and things like that. Let's put this into proper context because people don't know the law. And like I said before, I am a lawyer. I do look up these things, and I want people to understand the standards by which we look at this. The issue of excessive force is looked at from a legal basis. It's defined as police use of force standards under the Fourth Amendment, and we have to establish whether or not there is objective reasonableness under the totality of the circumstances. That's Graham v. Connor from 1989. Now, recently there was a case that people are talking about, Barnes v. Felix, which struck down this idea of you have to only look at the moment of threat. But now we look at the context. It's a context-sensitive review for reasonableness. And what is part of that contextual review? Well, among many factors, one of them is whether or not you are looking to evade arrest. If you are evading arrest, that means that you've been told to stay where you are. You're going to be placed under arrest, and you shouldn't go anywhere. Renee Good clearly heard the command, and we all heard it on the video anyway, to get out of the car. And then she tried to evade that arrest by driving away. I'm not saying her intent was to run over an officer. I will say that she did not seem panicked either. So if she was intending to evade arrest, and in the process of which the force was used against her because she is using, as the Chicago police chief was saying, using a vehicle, a many thousand-pound vehicle to drive it towards an officer. Even if you're driving it towards a vehicle, it's considered to be authorizing the use of force, as the chief said. People are saying she didn't run over. I mean, I see people in the chat saying she didn't run over anybody. The ICE agent had no threat to his life. And I think those of you who are saying that respectfully, you are seeing what you wish was there. Because I believe
Gene,
under any legal analysis, you're wrong.
yeah,
Go ahead, Ross.
Not only are they seeing what they want to see, none of these losers that are saying this right now spoke up for Ashley Babbitt, right? Ashley Babbitt was an unarmed white female veteran that got killed by a black Capitol Police officer, right, on January 6th. None of these people spoke up then. No one called that guy a murderer on their side, right? So they're full of shit. Spare me the fake outrage. She hit a cop with a car. She wasn't fleeing. She didn't get murdered by the state, right? It's just all nonsense. And I you know what? Fuck it. Like, fuck around, find out. I'm okay with it. Minimize it, Gene. I'm minimizing.
Okay. Because I want to give the other side voice. Here is Mommymon 9561 again. What is your point? She was evading, but that doesn't justify lethal force. The evading part does calculate into it because of the method in which she's evading. She's evading using a many thousand-pound vehicle and driving it towards an ICE agent. How come other countries that are such greater than us, and I don't know if there are any, but fine, we'll grant that, don't have this many murders from the state? Well, maybe
Gene, don't let that one go. That's
that's
the mentality on the left. It's always America sucks, and there's places better than us, and Europe is so great. Fucking go there, man. You guys on the left always blame America first. Just go, leave. We'll put you on one of these deportation flights. Maybe Trump will give you the $3,000 bonus to self-deport your ass out of here too. He should open it up to citizens as well.
Rick, go ahead.
Well, they keep saying the same thing as she was only evading. That doesn't deserve death. It's not the evading part. It's the fact that she decided to accelerate into an officer, and they're minimizing something else. Because if you look at the videos, when she originally stomped on the gas, if traction hadn't been broken by the fact that there was ice on the road, she would have hit him square on, not on the side. And he still, according to the New York Times, which normally I take with a grain of salt, but these people treat as the gospel, was reported to have internal injuries. How did dude have internal injuries if he didn't get hit by the car?
Absolutely right. And that news broke today. I saw it on CBS. I saw it on The Hill. I saw it in the New York Post as well. I don't want to derail the discussion too much, and we're not going to be doing a lot of plugs today. But just please, again, guys, I'm glad you guys are in the chat. We're certainly here to listen to what you have to say. If you want to drop a super chat, that will guarantee we'll get you on here right now and on the screen, and we'll be addressing you. But wherever you are, whether it be on YouTube, on Rumble, on X, please, if you like what you're hearing and seeing, if you don't like what you're seeing, but you see that we're being civil with you and you want to hang out with us, please like, follow, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Hit all notification bells so you don't miss any of the shows. I want to move on to this video from CNN. I know you guys are thinking already, but trust me, I think this is worth it. They did an interview with the former father-in-law of Renee Good, and I think his perspective on this is quite unique because, as you'll hear, he is a Trump supporter, and he admits that. And his perspective in this has got to be just, I think we need to listen to it because it is so unique. So let's get to it. I'm going to go to the part where he starts talking about his reaction to the situation.
Renee Good's former father-in-law, Timmy Macklin.
And let him lead us and guide us.
So we have
But
some new.
she's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I am sorry for your loss, because for your loss for you, it's your grandson who will suffer so greatly, and you have suffered the loss of your own son so tragically as well, her former husband. Your grandson's 6 years old. Have you been able to see him or talk to him since all of this has happened?
Not since it's happened. I've been blessed to see him, 2 or 3 times a year. He's an amazing young child. I mean, he's amazing. He's really smart, and so I look forward to seeing him when I can.
I want to ask you about this. When you talk about the confusion, and you've been open, obviously, about your support for the president, when you look at the videos of what happened, and I'm sure they're very hard for you, Timmy, to watch if you've even been able to, but the Deputy Attorney General says that the Justice Department doesn't believe that there's evidence to back a criminal investigation, right? And nothing about charges or anything like that, just an investigation into what happened in terms of the ICE agents' actions. But they were, according to the prosecutors resigning today, pressuring them to investigate Renee's actions and Becca, her wife's actions. How do you feel about all that?
Well, I'm not blaming anybody. I mean, it's a hard situation all the way around. It's hard for for everybody involved. I mean, the ICE agent, at first I didn't see the footage where, he was actually, he was actually being ran. I mean, I seen the bump of the car hitting his legs. And so in a flash like that, it's hard to say how you would react. From my understanding that he had been through that before, maybe dragged or something. And so, like I said, it's just a hard situation for everybody. Becca, she's a great person as well. I mean, I don't have any many enemies. I love everybody. And that's what the Bible tells us, love our neighbors as we love ourselves. But, I think there's some bad choices. And the word says, for the wrath of God will come up on the children of disobedience. And, it's I don't blame ICE. I don't blame Rebecca. I don't blame Renee. I just wish that, if we're walking the Spirit of God, I don't think she would have been there.
This to me is a very interesting perspective that obviously he's a godly man, probably more forgiving than I would ever be on anything. But the fact that he is questioning the choices made by everyone, interestingly enough, everything that came from this incident, this very unfortunate incident, started with the choice made by Renee Good. Can we all agree on that? I think we can.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, Gene, you're my friend, right?
I hope so. Unless you've been lying to me for the past 15 years.
If you told me, hey, Ross, after the show, you know what I'm planning on doing? I'm going to go driving around my neighborhood and box in armed federal officers and fuck with them and disobey them and then possibly run one over. I'd be like, Gene, I wouldn't do that if I was you, man. Right. But no one told Renee that. What? Right. Why not? Why didn't someone tell Renee not to do those stupid things that she was doing? When you really think about it, right? First of all, she's not like a mom and they keep showing a picture from like 20 years ago. She's a lesbian mom that lost custody of her kids, okay? And all you lefties in the chat, that might hurt to hear it. She was a terrible mother with lots of issues, mental health issues, like most of you, right? So she had no friends or family. Maybe this guy should have told her, but he's like an in-law, not really by blood. And he knows the truth, right? Someone should have stopped her from being so reckless and stupid, okay? And that's the truth.
I don't know anything about this woman. I don't profess to know anything about this woman. I know that on this day, she made bad choices. Rick, there were opportunities here for Renee Good to not block the road, to comply with lawful orders to get out of the vehicle, to not put the vehicle into reverse to try to get away, to not put the vehicle in drive to get away, to not hit the accelerator to move the car in such a manner that it skidded on ice. At any one of these points, I think we could actually say Renee Good would still be alive, but for the choices she made, right? Am I wrong in this?
No, you're absolutely 1,000% right, and that's the part that I keep going back to. This incident lasted for a total of about 4 minutes of what we've been able to see on film. But you can tell from when the agents walked up on her, if you listen in the beginning of the tape, of the interaction, which they always managed to cut out, two of them are walking towards the vehicle, and one of them says, "All right, this is enough. We've had enough. Get out of the car." This woman had been following them around and doing the same stuff and blocking them in over and over and over on that day. That everybody, I've seen that reported everywhere. And look, I don't want anybody to die for anything, but if you're it's pretty simple. With somebody who is in law enforcement, even if you don't think they have the authority to do what they're telling you to do, follow instructions and sue them. It's better to sue them in court and live than to risk resisting arrest and potentially die. And
As an attorney, I endorse that message. And if you want to hire me to do it, I'm available. So, anyways,
I mean, this is the thing. I used to train people to do these kind of things. Yes, on the private security side, but in a lot of ways, in apartment complexes and everything else, we had to do these kind of things all the time. And this is after I spent time wearing what everybody used to call a real badge. But I used to tell everybody all the time, it's much better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. And all these people that are in this chat right now, I guarantee you probably 99% of them have never been in a split-second decision where they've had to decide whether they're going to take some sort of an action that could save their life or possibly in someone else's. I have, and it's a terrible position to be in. But it's a position that everybody who swears that oath took on themselves, and they did it because they want to try to make their city, their state, and their country a better place. And the fact that we have spent the last decade vilifying these people pisses me off. And for everybody who's making comments about which way I'm looking, I took a fire extinguisher in the back of a head during a bar fight. I'm lucky I'm still here. So,
you know what? Don't even comment on that shit, man. Don't even worry about that. But I will listen. I'll give Reginald Green some time here. Again, I want to have civil discussion with people, even if Ross hates me for it. You're wrong. How are you blaming her for being killed for not following police instructions? It wasn't just the following of police instructions. It's also about the use of force against those officers. Now, you may not think that driving a vehicle towards an officer in an attempt to evade an arrest is excessive force, but the law certainly does think of it that way. And officers are trained to view that sort of action as hostile and as force being used against them. Look, nobody in their right mind thinks that someone is going to take their vehicle and drive it into them. That is an extreme situation, whether you're trained for it or not. As Always Open says, a 5,000-pound weapon, indeed. So when you are faced with a 5,000-pound weapon heading towards you, you do what you can to preserve your life, especially with the threat of lethal force. And there are cases out there in just about every circuit that says that the use of an automobile driven in the direction of an officer can be considered a deadly weapon. Ross, you're following the chat as much as I am. Is there anything you want to respond to out there?
Bro, I'm not shedding a single tear
Wait.
for Renee Good.
Hang on. This is a good one. The clown. Are you thick? She was at the side.
No, he was at the side.
No, she wasn't, David, you muppet. If this officer was at the side, how did the bullet hole appear on the windshield? How did the bullet go through the windshield of the vehicle? That shows you alone the spidering of the windshield, the location of the bullet hole shows that he was in front.
We went through this
the SUV.
We went through this last week. Basic forensics proves he was at the front of the vehicle when he fired the shots. And as a matter of fact, there's another shot that didn't show up until a few days later that actually shows there's another bullet hole in the mirror. So one shot hit the windshield, the other hit the mirror, and I don't know where the third one went, but this whole idea that he ran back or he waited to shoot inside the vehicle, no. No.
Well, I will say this, though, Rick, and not to fact check or push back, I don't know if that second bullet in the driver's side mirror is confirmed. It could also be a speck of dirt after the vehicle crashed into the other vehicle when it came to rest. So I'm not exactly sure if that is indeed the case. I initially thought that as well, but until I find some sort of independent verification of that, I don't even trust my own eyes on that. So Goob wants to know who shot JFK. I think Seinfeld already dealt with this. It was the magic loogie, just like with Keith Hernandez. So moving on, Ross, I'm gonna let you make up for lost time here. You want to keep on this topic, or you want to go to something else that happened today?
I think we should stay on this, man. This is a good one.
Cool. Go ahead. What do you think?
I was saying before, man.
Hang on. Before you guys go on, since Ross is up and running, I'm going to go ahead and dive off because I got to do another show in like 10 minutes anyway. So, all
right. Tell what show's coming up on KLRN. Shout out to our KLRN people, by the way, who are watching on a different account.
Add about 225 to whatever number you're looking at right now, too.
Sweet.
So anyway, as far as what's coming up next for us here in about 10 minutes, it'll be Rick and Orty before we head over to SHR Media Territory and hang out with those folks for the night. I'll be back tomorrow morning doing the Rick Robinson show. That's 10 a.m. Eastern. You can check us out at KLRN Radio on X, YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. I'm going to bounce, guys. Have a great night.
Adios, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on. He bails me out every time something happens with us. Not just a pretty face, that Rick Robinson. But go ahead with what you wanted to say, pal.
Yeah, listen, I love the hostile chat we got.
And by the way, they're not all hostile, but we are highlighting the hostile ones.
Yeah, F them. Listen, they're losers, bro. Let me get through this real quick. So, again, I'm not shedding any tears for Renee Good or any lefty that gets what they deserve, to be honest with you. You guys have to live knowing that Donald Trump won the presidency 3 fucking times, right? He might run again in 2028, and I hope he does. Most of you morons took the Trump vaccine, right? I didn't. You guys probably did. Vets, whoever you are in the freaking chat. We're stealing Venezuelan oil. We're going to get Greenland. We're taking the Panama Canal back. ICE is doing mass deportations. And Trump just signed a law going to give whole milk to kids in school. And I bet you most of the losers in this chat would be against that too. Fuck you guys. It's great. You guys are miserable. We're not. I fucking love it.
And listen, I'm okay with you guys being hostile. For those of you who are, that's cool by me. We can certainly have, civil discussions. I like to say that a lot because that basically is my stock and trade. I'm an attorney. Ross is more of a fighter with a law enforcement background. So that's how we are. That's why this show is so great. I don't know what else we can say about what happened with this situation. But it's clear it's become a political football. And everyone wants to get on record about what's going on here. But no one wants to wait for facts to develop. Like Rick was talking about earlier. News broke today that the ICE agent, and I'm not using his name. If you guys want to, you can. The ICE agent was treated in the hospital that same day for internal bleeding. Now, what does that mean exactly? I don't know exactly what is it a small bruise, a little boo-boo? Clearly, it was substantial enough for this ICE agent to go to the hospital, be there for several hours, and get treatment. What do we take from this new information, Galloway?
My eyes saw the video of him getting hit by the car, so I didn't need to know that he had internal bleeding. Because here's the other thing that we have to be careful with these radical Democrat leftist scumbags, right? You can't keep raising the bar, the burden of proof on us every time one of these things happen, right? First, they said the video was clear, then more video came out. Then we have to do hospital reports that there's internal bleeding. We don't have to do none of that. Fuck you. The officer was justified, right? We're not going to have to keep proving to people who don't listen to reason. So what do I think about the internal bleeding? I saw him get hit by a car, right? And if there was no video and he told me he got hit by a car, I'd believe it over her, okay? That's just the way it is.
Absolutely. Tim Law 24, people are getting paid and crap is going down to make him look bad. I assume we're talking about Trump, even though we are getting rid of crime. He goes on to further say, don't you see it? Donald Trump exposed California and Minnesota at the same time. And they were going to be president and vice president, meaning that, Trump shouldn't be there right now. Don't you see the corruption? The two cities of corruption. Throw the People's Republic of New York City into that analysis as well, as news has broken that there may be more untold billions of dollars in fraud and corruption in the People's Republic of New York. So there you go. And then, of course, we have David Ellis again checking in. Trump fan base. First of all, it's politics. It's not a cult of personality. This isn't about fan bases. This is about people's opinions about politics, but whatever. Trump fan base is dragged up mostly failed human beings like these lot here. I don't know about you, David, but I'm pretty damn successful. People know me. I have many leather-bound books. So thanks for that dynamite drop-in, Monty. Is there a correlation between the mobilization of many of these activists and organizations and the exposure of corruption in places like Minnesota and California, pal?
Yeah, well, the left is circling the wagons, aren't they? It started out with some Somali daycare. Now it turns out that there's rampant fraud, probably across all 50 states, right? But the red states work with the federal government. And I do want to hit on this, speaking of the federal government, right? Isn't it rich that Minnesota is all bent out of shape that the federal government doesn't want to share information with them to investigate this police-involved shooting, right? The federal government's been asking you guys to share information on illegal immigrants so that when we issue ICE detainers, we can pick them up in jail and not go door to door in places like Minneapolis, right? So fuck off, right?
Yeah. I'm just answering some chats saying, if it's not a cult of personality, then why is there merch? I was like, for fundraising, silly. Anyways, the chat is hopping.
By the way, I don't even care. Like, the cult of personality is Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump, remember years ago when he said, I could shoot somebody in the face on Fifth Avenue and I won't lose a single supporter? He's fucking right? He could. Yep. He ain't gonna lose me, right? I don't give a fuck what these morons in the chat say. They live miserable lives. And I know having Donald Trump in office, even when I disagree with him, makes them insane. So it's so delicious. I fucking love it.
Well, let's hear more from the party of tolerance here. There's only one good kind of Republicans. I'm not gonna say what it is, but they misspelled the word. Yeah, that's pretty tolerant of you guys. This is from the same people going nuts about Renee Good are the same ones saying that Ashley Babbitt had it coming, that Charlie Kirk had to get it in the neck. Other examples I can think of here. But Steve Scalise deserved it. Why was he playing baseball out there anyway? These are the same people that are so tolerant that they're okay with the other side having the same fate as a Renee Good.
Bro, these people they think men can have babies, right? That's why you never, by the way, Gene, never, I know you are a nice guy, right? But don't try to talk to these people like they're people. They're not, right? They are clown shows. Have you watched the protests in Minneapolis, by the way? Any of it?
Yes, I have.
right? They're banging pots and pans and playing trombones. It's mostly white hipsters out there, right? They can't get a riot going because the black guys ain't coming out for this shit.
Did
right?
you
They're
see
not
the
coming
one in
out
the
for a lesbian that tried to run over a cop. They're just not going to.
Did you see the one in the
good luck
clown
with your
outfit?
riot in fucking Minneapolis? All you got is old white liberal women that think men can have babies. Like, if you don't want the fucking Civil War, I'm telling you, you're not going to do well. Your side is not going to do well.
Did you see the one of that protester that was being harassed by someone with a megaphone, and he ended up getting clocked, and some other people tried to get around him, and this guy wearing a MAGA hat is just clocking people left and right, and they're going down?
God, yes. And that is it in a nutshell, right? A bunch of soy boy, low testosterone dudes running around with bullhorns in people's ears, and they came around the wrong fucking guy, and he let him have it.
Well, listen, you mentioned about court cases and talking about what is a woman and all that. As we wind down the show here, I do want to talk about what happened this week in the Supreme Court with this case, Little v. Hickox. And guys, if you want to hang around for this, you're more than welcome to. So Lee versus Hickox is a case about transgender athlete eligibility. The case involves a biological male athlete competing as a female, and this athlete is challenging state bans on transgender women in women's sports. So basically, when it comes to sports categories at the high school level or at the college level, there's a men's category or a boys category and a girls category or a women's category. This female is challenging the right to be a transgender female in the female category, but his or her attorney doesn't want to define these terms. And Justice Alito, during the oral argument in this case, tried to make the point that if you're making an equal protection argument, you're going to need definitions. Let's listen to this short clip.
If it does that, then is it not necessary for there to be, for equal protection purposes, if that is challenged under the Equal Protection Clause, an understanding of what it means to be a boy or a girl or a man or a woman?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that definition for equal protection purposes? What does it mean to be a boy or a girl or a man or a woman?
Sorry, I misunderstood your question. I think that the underlying enactment, whatever it was, the policy, the law, we'd have to have an understanding of how the state or the government was just understanding that term to figure out whether or not someone was excluded. We do not have a definition for the court, and we don't take issue with we're not disputing the definition here. What we're saying is that the way it applies in practice is to exclude birth-sex males categorically from women's teams, and that there's a subset of those birth-sex males where it doesn't make sense to do so according to the state's own interest.
Well, how can a court determine whether there's discrimination on the basis of sex without knowing what sex means for equal protection purposes?
I think here we just know we basically know that they've identified, pursuant to their own statute, Lindsay qualifies as a birth-sex male, and she's being excluded categorically from the women's teams as the statute. So we're taking the statute's definitions as we find them, and we don't dispute them.
So in other words, the attorney advocating for this young person can't identify what a woman is. And Justice Alito, Matt Walsh, take a bow. You got the Supreme Court asking attorneys, what is a woman? What is a girl? What is a male? What is a female? What is a boy? And all these questions that they refuse to answer, even at the highest court in the land. It is so funny to see, pal.
By the way, I don't think this decision is going to be 5-4 or 6-3. I think it can go as high as 7-2, to be honest with you. I think only Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown, whatever her fucking name is, she didn't know what a woman was either, right? She couldn't define it. I think those are the only two idiots that are going to vote that the states can't do this. By the way, I also think it's worth noting, and I brought this up on several shows, that, by the way, men and women are not equal, okay? And I think that we kind of can agree on this after this case, right? I think that they should do the military and the police department right after this, right? If you're telling me that a tranny or transsexual or transgender cannot play in, high school volleyball with girls because there's some physical advantage, then that should also be true in the military and in the police department, right? Women can't have it both ways. Women brought this upon themselves, to be honest. And then you could destroy their entire argument. I listened to a lot of the audio from that
Mhm.
hearing, and I thought it was great. But it could have been over with like a few sentences. How come How come this issue only arises, Gene, when people who are born men transition to women and then try to play in women's sports? How come the issue never goes the other way? There is never an issue where a person born a woman and then gets mentally ill and thinks they're a man, competes in men's sports and starts dominating, right? That never happens, right? So obviously there is a physical difference between men and women. I think there should just be sports, right? There shouldn't even be male teams and female teams. I thought separate but equal was sort of frowned upon by the Supreme Court once upon a time.
Well, no, that's why Title IX exists, and
I think Title IX is separate but equal. It's segregation all over again. There should just be a team. Try out for the team, merit-based.
I get that, but I also think that we need to recognize that there is a biological difference between men and women. There is a difference in hormones when you
I agree
develop.
with you, Gene. What I'm saying is the people on our side specifically won't go as far as to extrapolate that out. They'll say there's a difference between men and women in high school volleyball, but they won't say there's a difference for women in combat arms units in the Army, right? You can't have it both ways. There's no way.
No, I agree with you. The issue before the court, by the way, is does woman, for legal purposes under Title IX and under other case law and precedent and statute, is that definition based upon sex or gender identity? I think the court is going to rule that it is based on biological sex. Just my opinion. We'll find out towards the end of the session. But unfortunately, I really wish we could have kept going on this. I know that time is limited for various reasons in both our lives. We're not terminally online like many people. We do have lives. So we come on here once a week, Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern time, for you guys to come and hang out with us and talk and have discussions with us. We appreciate you all being here. If you would please like the stream as you're watching it right now. If you haven't done so already, I really would appreciate if you do that. And if you can, and if you would, if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. If you're on Rumble, subscribe, please. If you're on X, follow us where you're watching right now, whether it be on KLRN or on my stream at G Berardelli. But now it's time for the final part of the show where we talk about our final thoughts here. And we give our opinion on basically any topic we want. We haven't discussed this with each other. We are just here to say whatever the hell we want to say, use our digital footprint for our own soapbox and say whatever we want. Ross, because you were cut out of so much of this because of technical issues, you get to go first and you get to go as long as you want, man. I will not interrupt you.
I usually don't go long on these, and I won't tonight. I love the fact that both Bill and Hillary Clinton blew off their depositions with the House Oversight Committee today, or the Judiciary Committee, whichever one Comer is running there. They blew off their depositions. When the Republicans did this, possibly actually for valid reasons, Navarro and Bannon claimed executive privilege because they worked directly for the president and they didn't want to go before the kangaroo Congress, and they wound up in jail. I think it's hilarious that the Democrats and some misguided Republicans thought they were going to get Trump with the Epstein files. There's a lot of morons in the chat that think the same thing. When it turns out that most of the stuff that got released so far were involving Bill Clinton and others on the left. And it also turns out that the members of that committee, Gene, want there to be more redactions, and that is leading to the slowdown of the release of the Epstein files. So my final thought is this. Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton need to be referred to the DOJ, and I know they're working on that in the House. And Pam Bondi needs to prosecute them for contempt of Congress and lock them the fuck up. And this year should be nothing but Democrats being locked up. Weaponization of government, you're goddamn right. I can't wait. This is going to be a good year. And that's my
final thought. What's good for the goose is certainly good for the gander. And if they were subpoenaed, so why not? I totally agree with that. So for my final thought, because the topic ran so late, I was going to show a video of Josh Hawley in the Senate in a committee hearing discussing with a doctor the definition of woman and man and whether or not biological men can have babies. You may have seen the clip out there today. If not, I will put it into the comments after this video is uploaded on replay. Shout out to the replay crew if you're out there. Yes, Patty Cake says it in the chat. Dr. Verna. Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And this doctor hemmed and hawed for close to 5 minutes trying to equivocate about whether or not men can have babies, whether men can get pregnant. We are in the theater of the absurd, people. That's where we are right now in the world. We're seeing it in Minnesota. We're seeing it being played out in Congress with issues like this and the Supreme Court as well. It's time we all got back to fucking common sense, which unfortunately is not so common anymore. And I'll pretty much leave it at that. We'll pick it up where we left it off for next week. But until then, Ross, I think it's time to shut this sucker down. What are you thinking, man?
Bro, let's get the fuck out of here, losers.
Hey, listen, you know what? I thank all the winners and losers and in between in the chat for hanging out with us. But until next week, I'm Gene, he's Ross. We are Behind Enemy Lines, and we're out of here. So let's play our motherfucking anthem as we play ourselves out. Good night, everybody. God bless.
Not allowed, not without electoral.
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear?
Don't let them have sway. Conservative battalions walking them out, marching through the streets while the buffoons all shout. Move in the shadows, flag on my chest, repping my clan, putting faith to the test. Cause we'll play blues behind enemy lines, fighting for the truth, feels like wartime. Don't back down, keep it rugged and raw, cool in the chaos, but loud in the war. But loud in the war. Thunder, arm in advance, march to the anthem, this is our chance. If I ever stand with a smirk and a gaze, holding down the fort in this Democrat case.